This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
I know you've talked to the Greenbergs more recently than I have. And obviously, no one has ever been charged in this. She did have a fiancé at the time. He, of course, naturally would be the one that anyone would look at, no matter anyone in any case. That'd be the first person you would look at. But obviously innocent, no charges ever made, no investigation really ever done either. But what would the motive be on something like this within this case? Was there, I mean, just if we were to speculate as to why anyone would want to harm her or end her life?
Well, definitely that was my number one question. And I think that there were a lot of issues in this fledgling relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think, she was not happy. According to the Greenbergs, they were really, trying to be supportive and dealing with a lot of feelings she was having in terms of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And recall that the engagement ring was on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, a lot of people believe, including the Greenbergs, I think that there was a fight
mm-hmm.
and that maybe she was ending it. And, just the whole situation that transpired.
Sure.
He was supposedly in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
She supposedly had locked herself in, but the lock doesn't show what a lock would show if you broke in.
Yeah.
And just his reactions, him going crazy, it doesn't make much sense. And the fact that the crime scene was completely cleaned up, Tony, within about 24 hours. At the request of, family of the fiance.
Yeah.
It's all just ugly.
Well, and that, I got to say, that 911 call is one of the strangest 911 calls I've ever heard. I mean, if you go back and listen to that, I don't have it readily available. If somebody listens to it on YouTube, you walk away from that going, this is like the love of your life. And you walk in and this is what you're seeing. I know, again, everybody reacts to grief differently, but I don't know, a healthy person, a person who's truly loves this person. Hell, even if you were in the outs, even if you were just broken up, or if you knew that was imminent, I don't know how one reacts with that level of just, I don't know, callousness almost, to finding your significant other stabbed to death 20 times and not realizing that, oh, there's a knife here, literally, like a quote from the video. That was always shocking to me. Again, he's innocent. We're not saying he's guilty, not saying he had anything to do with it. But it's one of those things where, can we look at this a little bit closer? Because it seems a little weird.
Well, the 911 call literally should be played at homicide class.
Yeah.
As to what to look for in a concerning 911 call. And as you called it out, when they said, what's wrong? Did she fall? What happened? And he says, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ask him to do CPR, and she said, well, he's got a knife. She's got a knife in her chest. So it's the whole situation that I said before about lies. You have to contrive,
Mm-hmm.
The truth never changes. And as he's trying to explain this to the 911 operator, he's like a dog on a wet linoleum floor, just scrambling for answers, because he wasn't being truthful, wasn't telling the truth.
I mean, I don't know that it was, whoever did this, I don't know that it was super premeditated, but obviously it happened. There was talk, that she was depressed, that there might be some mental health issues going on here. That doesn't automatically mean that somebody's going to go kill themselves by any means. But I mean, that's one of the arguments that's always been made of, well, it wasn't the fiance, it wasn't anybody else. She was already suffering and maybe already wanted to do this. But again, the manner, okay, it just doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. And I think there also is a difference between being depressed and being anxious. I think her diagnosis more was around anxiousness and things along those natures. I'm not a doctor by any means, but certainly that is how it is described by the family. And no suicidal tendencies or assertions, nothing was found on her her laptop or her, anything that was, at all indicating that she was suicidal. Two different things, in my opinion. And again, if we're going to really analyze the person she wasn't the type of person to want to mutilate her body.
Sure. It doesn't. And another thought here too on this, I'm just kind of running through my mind right now of if, the ring's on the table, it's just pure conjecture. Ring's on the table. She locks herself in. He goes to the gym, comes back. She doesn't let him in. Maybe she's still alive at this point. Breaks the door down, goes in, argument ensues. This takes place. Again, pure conjecture. Have no idea. But it doesn't necessarily mean that she's already dead when the door gets broken down, allegedly, or the door lock gets broken, because it doesn't show any real evidence of it either. I mean, I guess in theory, she could have let him in too. And he's saying that he had to break this open to get in, if that's the case. Again, pure conjecture. The man has never been charged with anything, is innocent, but it's just... There's a lot of scenarios that can happen here, and the way that we know the scenario is based strictly on the story that's been told. It's a he said, she said, but she's not around to give her side of it.
Right, and my only issue with the whole door, and I've actually posted videos showing what it takes to break open one of those latches, like in the hotel rooms that everybody has. Right, you set the latch. It causes so much damage to the side of the door, to the door frame, to the door itself, to the latch itself. It is very difficult. I posted videos of SWAT teams trying to get in. It's difficult. So for one guy to just kind of put his shoulder up and nudge it, I don't believe that's what happened. I think he left afterwards to create an alibi. This is, again, he has not been charged. I'm saying this is a possibility that he left after and then came and staged that to look like that, which that you can do. I've also posted about that. You take a credit card and you can do all these tricks to set it. But so I'm just not convinced he ever had to break in. It's difficult to believe from the evidence we have.
Or whoever did it, whether whoever did this, there's the crime scene doesn't add up to what the official story is. It's not saying he's guilty of doing it. It's saying whoever did this, the crime scene doesn't make any sense. And it wasn't investigated properly to really, get, I think, a better sense of this. But with the existing evidence that is there on this case, even though there was never a true investigation into the scene, is there enough to ever bring charges on this? Or is it it's just far enough gone where there's just too much reasonable doubt really to know whether it was anyone or whoever it was?
Well, I think the big issue is the wiping of the crime scene. As you stated, there's no crime scene left. And there wasn't after 24 hours. And it wasn't just as if relatives went in. They hired a company that's what they do, is clean up after murders to go in. And so this was wiped completely clean. Remember the devices, her devices, his devices, everything was taken by the family. And so who knows what happened to them, what might have been deleted in that time space. So I think it's going to be very difficult. But really what the Greenbergs are looking for is just that change of manner of death to even unknown, because of course what they're hoping to do is press a civil lawsuit. And that civil lawsuit, all of these facts and information can come out. So while I believe it's quite difficult, right, to make the criminal case, I think it's a whole different story on that civil case. He had motive, he had means, and he had opportunity. And I think they want to take it to court. Well,
and rules of discovery are very different in a civil case as well. So who knows what could be drug up there, which actually could end up leading towards a criminal case, depending on what is actually found. And just the precedent that this sets going forward. Hopefully there is some sort of ruling here that does affect other cases. So if someone else is in a similar type situation, it doesn't turn into what the Greenbergs have gone through. Even if we can never quite get to the bottom of this, it won't have necessarily all been in vain.
Yeah, what they went through and suffered in this case, it has just been life-changing and such a horrible toll on them, on their relationship, on their life. This was their only daughter.
Mm-hmm.
This was their only son. This was their only child.
Yeah.
And to be abandoned really by the system completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Law enforcement failed them. The judicial system failed them. This is a chance to reverse all of them and to give them a chance at least some, judicious outcome, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much looking forward to this. It'll take a little bit of time when it gets there, but hopefully we see some progress in a case that certainly needs more answers.
Are you ready to listen to this podcast ad-free?
Then hit subscribe to the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel now on Apple Podcasts.
You'll instantly have access to all of our episodes labeled Advance Ad-Free. You'll hear the interviews before everyone else and with no interruptions.
No interruptions.
Subscribe to the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel now on Apple Podcasts.
And start binging now.